The vastness of space stretched endlessly, a tapestry of stars and swirling nebulas that sparkled like diamonds against the velvety blackness. Captain Alina Carter stood on the bridge of the exploration ship Endeavour *, her fingers grazing the holographic interface as she scanned the surrounding sector. Her crew, a mix of seasoned explorers and bright-eyed trainees, was busy with their tasks, unaware of the impending discovery that would alter the fate of humanity. "Captain, we're receiving anomalous readings from the nebula ahead," called out Lieutenant Jack Morales, his voice tinged with excitement and trepidation. "Unidentified energy signatures. It's massive." Alina's heart raced. The nebula, a swirling mass of colors and gases, had been considered off-limits due to its treacherous conditions. But the potential for discovery was too enticing to ignore. "Bring us in closer, but keep shields up. I don't want any surprises." As the Endeavour maneuvered through the gaseous tendrils, a colossal shape materialized within the nebula's depths. It took a moment for the crew to comprehend what they were seeing. A fleet of warships, silent and abandoned, drifting like ghosts in the vast expanse. Their hulls bore the scars of battle, marking them as remnants of a time long past. "By the stars," Elena breathed, leaning closer to the viewport. "Is that what I think it is?" The ship's sensors confirmed her suspicions. These were vessels from the legendary Forsaken Fleet, lost during the cataclysmic war against the Exitherians decades ago. The tales of their heroic last stand had become folklore, but now they were real, and they were here, waiting. "Prepare to board," she ordered, a mix of thrill and apprehension igniting her resolve. "We need to learn what happened here." The crew sprang into action, donning their exploration suits and readying the shuttle for launch. As they approached the flagship of the Forsaken Fleet, the Elysium *, the eerie silence enveloped them. Its once mighty frame loomed before them, shrouded in an ethereal glow from the nebula. "Docking now," Morales announced, his voice steady but laced with anticipation. The moment they set foot on the Elysium *, an unsettling chill swept through the air. Shadows danced in the dim light as they moved cautiously through the deserted corridors. Panels flickered sporadically, and debris littered the ground, evidence of a hasty retreat. Elena felt a deep sense of loss for the lives that once thrived within these walls. "Captain, I'm detecting life signs," Lieutenant Tara Chen said, her eyes widening as she scanned the readings. "One of them is human." Elena's heart leaped. "Where?" "Cryostasis chamber, aft section," Tara replied, guiding them through the maze of corridors. They arrived at the chamber, its glassy surface illuminated by a pulsing blue light. Inside lay a figure in a military uniform, suspended in stasis. Elena felt an overwhelming surge of emotion. This was no ordinary soldier. This was Admiral Thomas Hale, the last commander of the Forsaken Fleet. With a deep breath, she activated the awakening sequence. The chamber hissed, releasing a cloud of mist. The glass slid open, and the Admiral's eyes fluttered open, revealing a mix of confusion and alarm. "Admiral Hale," Elena said, her voice steady but filled with urgency. "Welcome back. We need your help." His gaze sharpened, instantly shifting from disorientation to focus. "The Exitherians, are they coming?" "Yes," Elena replied, her voice firm. "And we need to rally what's left of humanity to face them." In that moment, the weight of responsibility fell heavily on Elena's shoulders. The past and present collided as the first threads of a new saga began to weave together, one that would lead them into the heart of darkness, where the fate of humanity would be decided once more. Admiral Thomas Hale stood in the dim light of the Elysium's command center, the weight of a decade's worth of regret etched on his weathered face. Around him, Captain Elena Carter and her crew listened intently, their eyes reflecting both hope and uncertainty. They were acutely aware that the stakes had risen dramatically since awakening the long-lost leader of the Forsaken Fleet. "The Exetherians are not the same as you remember," Hale warned, his voice steady but grave. "They've evolved. Their technology has advanced far beyond what we faced before. We will need allies to stand a chance against them." Alina nodded, her resolve hardening. "Then we'll reach out to anyone who can help. We can't fight this war alone." As the Elysium drifted into a secure orbit around Earth, Alina initiated a series of communications, reaching out to remnants of humanity scattered across the galaxy. Old military bases, isolated colonies, and the remnants of the Earth's government, each channel connected them to a world that had almost forgotten the Forsaken Fleet's existence. The first response came from Captain Alexei Petrov, leader of the Earth Defense Force stationed at the remote outpost on Titan. He was skeptical but intrigued. "You're telling me that the lost fleet has been found? And you have Hale? You expect us to believe that the threat is real?" "Captain, I can assure you that this isn't a fairy tale," Alina replied, her voice taut with urgency. "The Exetherians are preparing for another assault. We need your ships and soldiers to reinforce our defenses." After a tense silence, Petrov's tone softened. "I'll gather what I can, but I can't promise much. The remnants of Earth are fractured, and trust is hard to come by." Next came a message from an unexpected source: the Marauders, a band of former soldiers and mercenaries who had long since turned their backs on the government. Their leader, Zara, had a reputation for being tough and cunning, and many considered her a rogue. But desperation had a way of forging unlikely alliances. "Alina Carter," Zara said, her voice laced with skepticism over the comms. "What's this I hear about a resurrection? You think we'd trust the government's lost fleet?" "Trust is earned, not given," Alina replied evenly. "But the Exetherians will not discriminate. They will come for all of us, join us, and we might stand a chance. Help us fight back, and perhaps we can forge a new path together." After a moment, Zara chuckled, the sound carrying a hint of admiration. "All right, Captain, I'll bring my people, but you'd better have a plan worth following." As the communications continued, Alina felt the weight of responsibility bearing down on her. She had no room for error. Their survival depended on these alliances. Yet in each conversation, there was a flicker of hope as she forged connections, rallying the remnants of humanity for the imminent battle. Meanwhile, Admiral Hale busied himself with the Elysium's command systems, poring over strategic data and maps. He focused on the core mission: to unify these factions and revive the spirit of humanity's resilience. "We need to train our forces together," he said to Alina as they strategized. "If we're to face the Exetherians, we must do so as one." Days passed, and alliances began to take shape. The Earth Defense Force agreed to send a contingent of ships and soldiers, while the Marauders pledged their cunning and guerrilla tactics. But not all were convinced. A faction within the government, fearful of war and the consequences of re-engaging the Exetherians, threatened to undermine their efforts. As the negotiations grew more intense, a rogue group attempted to assassinate Hale during a rally intended to unite the forces. In a chaotic showdown, Alina and her crew defended the Admiral, showcasing the strength of their newly formed alliance. In the aftermath, the groups understood that they were united by a common cause. Trust would take time, but a fierce determination burned in their hearts. The Forsaken Fleet, once lost, was poised to rise again, igniting a flame of hope across the galaxy. The battle against the Exetherians was approaching, and the unity of humanity had become a formidable weapon of its own. The Elysium buzzed with energy as crew members from various factions collaborated, each bringing unique skills and experiences to the table. Under the guidance of Admiral Hale and Captain Alina Carter, the once fractured remnants of humanity began to meld into a cohesive force, united by a common purpose. In the ship's hangar bay, Captain Carter surveyed the bustling scene. Engineers from the Earth Defense Force were busy retrofitting the old ships of the Forsaken Fleet with new weaponry and state-of-the-art technology scavenged from the Cytherian mothership. Meanwhile, the Marauders showcased their resourcefulness, turning scrap metal into improvised weapons, integrating them with the fleet's aging systems. Get that plasma railgun mounted on the Asterisk Warhammer Asterisk, a Marauder technician shouted, excitement palpable in his voice. This baby's going to pack a punch. As the days rolled on, the atmosphere shifted from one of uncertainty to palpable determination. Training drills were conducted daily, with crew members pushing their limits under the harsh scrutiny of experienced leaders. Elena knew they needed to prepare for the worst, and with the clock ticking down to the inevitable Cytherian assault, there was no room for complacency. Today, we're focusing on maneuvering and evasive tactics. Elena shouted, her voice cutting through the noise of the hangar. I want every ship in formation, and don't hold back. If you can't keep up, we'll find a way to strengthen you. Lieutenant Morales, now the head of tactical training, gathered a mixed group of pilots, some fresh from the academy and others seasoned veterans. We'll simulate an enemy attack. Remember, they won't play nice. Work together and keep your communications clear. The drills began with each pilot taking to the simulators. Elena watched as they soared through holographic obstacles, dodging simulated laser blasts while coordinating maneuvers. She could feel her heart race in tandem with the adrenaline-fueled chaos of the exercise. In one of the cockpits, a young pilot, Jenny, struggled to keep her ship steady amidst the flurry of chaos. Elena approached her after the simulation, kneeling beside the cockpit. Jenny, I saw you hesitating when you needed to make that turn, Elena said, her tone gentle but firm. Trust your instincts. You're better than you think. This is about survival, not just skill. Remember what's at stake. Jenny nodded, her face flushed with determination. I understand, Captain. I'll do better. As the training intensified, camaraderie blossomed among the diverse groups. The Marauders, with their unconventional methods, began to teach guerrilla tactics, sharing their experiences in ambushes and stealth missions. In turn, the Earth Defense Force shared discipline and structure, emphasizing the importance of teamwork. During one evening session, the Alliance gathered in the mess hall for a debriefing. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, and Hale stood before them, his presence commanding respect. We're more than a collection of ships and soldiers. We are humanity's last stand. This war is not just about winning, it's about survival and reclaiming our place in the stars. He shared stories of bravery from the Forsaken Fleet's past, igniting a spark of determination among the crowd. When the Cytherians come, we will not falter. We will show them the spirit of humanity, the spirit that refuses to be extinguished. In the days that followed, Elena watched as the crew transformed, not only honing their skills, but also forging unbreakable bonds. The hangar resonated with laughter, the clang of metal, and the hum of machinery, creating a symphony of hope. One evening, while surveying the progress, Elena found herself in the quiet confines of the engineering bay, where a group of technicians were putting the final touches on a newly modified ship, the Asterisk Vanguard Asterisk. Its hull glimmered with freshly painted insignias, a blend of the Forsaken Fleet's legacy and the modern touch of the Earth Defense Force. This ship will lead the charge, one of the engineers said, wiping his brow. She's going to be faster and tougher than any ship out there. Elena smiled, her heart swelling with pride. Let's make sure she's ready for whatever comes next. Together, we will rise from the ashes and reclaim our future. With each passing day, the remnants of humanity were forging a new identity, and the sense of purpose that filled the Asterisk Elysium Asterisk ignited a fierce resolve among the crew. The Forsaken Fleet was no longer a memory, it was a beacon of hope and strength, ready to confront the darkness looming on the horizon. The air crackled with tension aboard the Elysium as the crew prepared for their first major offensive against the Cytherians. Admiral Hale had devised a bold plan. They would strike at a remote Cytherian outpost, rumored to be a staging ground for the upcoming invasion. This was their chance to test their training and newly upgraded ships in real combat. As the fleet assembled in the void of space, Captain Elena Carter stood on the bridge, her heart pounding in anticipation. She glanced around at the faces of her crew, some eager, some anxious, but all determined. "Remember your training," she urged, her voice steady. "We've prepared for this moment. Trust each other, and we'll make it through." "Captain, the fleet is ready for launch," Lieutenant Morales announced, his hands hovering over the controls. "We have a clear path to the outpost." "Let's move out," Elena commanded, her voice ringing with authority. "Keep formation and watch for enemy vessels." As they traveled through the star-studded expanse, the crew felt a mix of excitement and fear. After months of training, this was their first chance to prove themselves. The Elysium led the way, flanked by the sleek ships of the Earth Defense Force and the rugged vessels of the Marauders. Each ship had its own distinct flair, symbolizing the unity of their disparate factions. When they arrived at the outpost, a chilling sight greeted them. The Cytherian base loomed ominously, surrounded by a ring of smaller ships and drones buzzing like wasps. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the Elysium and the bridge lit up with warning lights. "Multiple contacts. Cytherian ships are launching," Morales shouted, his face tense with concentration. Elena's heart raced as she scanned the view screen, her instincts kicking in. "Prepare to engage. Focus fire on the nearest vessels. We'll create a breach and storm the outpost." As the fleet engaged in battle, the chaos unfolded before them. Laser blasts illuminated the dark void, and explosions erupted like fireworks in the night. The Elysium shook violently as enemy fire struck its shields, but the crew held firm, navigating through the maelstrom of combat. "Target locked," shouted a gunner, his voice strained with excitement. Firing. The Elysium's weapons unleashed a torrent of fire, striking down a Cytherian drone that disintegrated into shards of metal. Cheers erupted from the crew, but Elena remained focused, her eyes narrowed on the unfolding battle. She spotted a group of enemy ships trying to flank them and immediately called for evasive maneuvers. Just then, a surge of Cytherian bioengineered drones surged toward the fleet, a horrific sight that sent a chill down Elena's spine. These drones were unlike anything they had encountered before, their sleek forms darting through space with predatory precision. "They're faster than expected," Morales exclaimed, sweat beading on his forehead. "We need to regroup." "Not yet," Elena replied, her voice calm but resolute. "We can't let them break our formation. Hold your positions." But as the drones descended upon them, the battle took a harrowing turn. The crew watched in horror as one of the Marauder ships, the Raven's Claw was overwhelmed. Explosions erupted in a fiery blaze, sending debris tumbling into the void. "We have to save them," Elena shouted, her heart pounding. "Form a protective barrier around the remaining ships." The crew sprang into action, redirecting their fire toward the encroaching drones, but the Cytherians unleashed a volley of counterattacks. The bridge shook as enemy fire rained down, and Elena felt a surge of fear and adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Captain, we're losing ships," Morales cried, his voice strained. In a desperate moment of clarity, Elena realized they couldn't let fear dictate their actions. "Rally the fleet. We need to pull together and fight back. Follow my lead." With renewed determination, they executed a coordinated counterattack. The fleet combined their fire, each ship moving in sync, to create a formidable wall against the drones. The tide began to turn as they took out several enemy ships, driving back the remaining Cytherians. Alina's heart surged with hope as she witnessed the Alliance's strength coalesce. In that moment, she saw something they hadn't seen before, the potential of their unity. But just as they began to gain ground, a larger Cytherian warship emerged from the shadows, dwarfing their vessels and heralding a new wave of dread. "Brace for impact," Elena shouted, steeling herself for the confrontation ahead. They were fighting not just for their survival, but for the very soul of humanity, and the battle had only just begun. The explosion of the Exetherian warship filled the view screen with blinding light, temporarily overshadowing the chaos of the battle. The remaining ships of the fleet staggered back, their pilots squinting against the glare as Elena struggled to regain control of the situation. "Status report," she shouted, adrenaline surging through her veins. Morales, still at his station, hurriedly processed the data. "We've lost contact with several ships, Captain. The Raven's Claw is down, and we're taking heavy damage from the remaining enemy vessels." Alina's heart sank at the loss of her allies, but she couldn't afford to dwell on it now. "We need to push forward. Our primary objective is to infiltrate the outpost and disable their defenses. Once we do that, we can turn the tide in our favor." "Are you sure, Captain?" Morales asked, concern etched across his face. "We don't know what we're walking into. We're outnumbered." "We can't turn back now," she replied, determination hardening her voice. "We'll use the element of surprise to our advantage. I want a small team ready to deploy to the surface. We'll infiltrate the outpost and sabotage their systems from within." As Elena outlined her plan, a sense of urgency filled the bridge. With a mix of bravado and fear, she selected her team: Admiral Hale, Morales, and 2 elite Marauder operatives, Zara and a stoic soldier named Jax. Together, they represented the best of each faction, a blend of experience, cunning, and sheer willpower. Moments later, the team boarded a shuttle, the Cinder and launched toward the surface of the Exetherian outpost. As they approached the facility, the sight was both awe-inspiring and foreboding. Towering structures rose from the rocky terrain, pulsating with alien energy and surrounded by intricate defensive systems. "Stealth mode engaged," Morales said, adjusting the shuttle settings. The ship dimmed, blending with the shadows of the outpost as they descended. Alina's heart raced as they landed in a hidden alcove, and the team disembarked, weapons at the ready. The atmosphere was thick with tension as they moved cautiously through the alien terrain, the ground humming beneath their feet. "Stick close," Zara whispered, her eyes scanning the surroundings. "We need to be quick and quiet. If we're caught, we won't have a second chance." As they navigated through the winding corridors of the outpost, they encountered alien drones patrolling the area. The team ducked behind cover, waiting for the right moment to strike. Elena's breath quickened as she felt the weight of their mission pressing down on her. "Ready," Jax murmured, gripping his weapon tightly. "On my mark," Elena whispered, her heart pounding in her chest. 3, 2, 1, now." In perfect synchrony, the team sprang into action. Zara and Jax leaped from cover, taking down the unsuspecting drones with swift precision. Morales and Hale moved to secure the perimeter, while Elena advanced toward the central control room. Inside, glowing consoles blinked with data, illuminating the darkness. Elena's mind raced as she approached the main terminal, quickly assessing the interface. "I can disable their communications and defenses, but I'll need a minute," she said, her fingers dancing across the controls. "Cover us," Hale ordered, positioning himself at the doorway with Jax, scanning the corridor for any signs of reinforcements. The seconds stretched like hours as Elena worked frantically. Alarms blared, echoing through the facility as the Exetherians grew aware of the intrusion. "I'm almost in," she shouted, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Suddenly, a squad of Exetherian soldiers burst into the room, their alien features twisted in rage. The team reacted instinctively, firing back as chaos erupted around them. "Cover fire," Morales yelled as bullets whizzed through the air, striking the wall beside Alina. She ducked down, her heart racing. Just a few more seconds. As the team fought back, Alina felt a surge of determination. The weight of their mission hung on her shoulders, and she couldn't afford to fail. Finally, with a triumphant smile, she hit the final key. Done! Their defenses are down. The Exatherian soldiers faltered, their unity disrupted by the sudden loss of communication. Alina turned to her team, exhilarated. "Let's move. We need to regroup with the fleet and lead the charge." As they fought their way back, a renewed energy coursed through Alina. They had breached the heart of the enemy stronghold, and with the outpost defenses crumbling, their victory felt within reach. But the looming shadow of the Exatherian warship still threatened, and Alina knew the battle was far from over. As the team emerged from the chaos of the Exatherian outpost, the Cinder awaited them, cloaked in the shadows of an overhanging rock formation. Alina's heart raced as they boarded the shuttle, adrenaline still coursing through her veins. "We did it," she breathed, allowing herself a moment of relief. Morales piloted the Cinder, the ship's engines humming to life as they ascended back into the void. But as they broke through the atmosphere, the sight that greeted them stole the breath from Alina's lungs. The battlefield had transformed into a swirling maelstrom of destruction. Ships from the Forsaken Fleet engaged in a fierce dogfight against the remaining Exatherian vessels, flashes of laser fire illuminating the dark canvas of space. "We need to get back in there," Hale urged, his eyes sharp with urgency. "Rally the remaining forces and strike while we have the advantage." "Understood," Morales replied, veering the shuttle toward the heart of the battle. As they approached, Alina's heart sank at the sight of wreckage, both human and alien, floating aimlessly in the vastness of space. Once they rejoined the Elysium Alina was met with an explosion of noise and chaos on the bridge. "Status report," she shouted, commanding attention. "Admiral Hale, we've lost several ships, including the Hercules and the Artemis *. Lieutenant Morales reported, his face taut with concentration. "We need reinforcements." "We have no choice," Hale said grimly, glancing at Alina. "We've lost too many already, but we must make a final push. We need to disrupt that warship's command center before it can retaliate." Alina nodded, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on her. "We can use the Cinder again. If we can get close enough to their warship, we can disable their weapons and give our fleet the upper hand." Hale met her gaze, his expression a mix of pride and concern. "It's a risky move, but it might be our only chance." They readied the Cinder once more, and with determination, Alina piloted the shuttle alongside the remaining fleet ships. As they approached the massive Exatherian warship, the ship's imposing form loomed over them, a fortress of death and destruction. Engaging cloaking protocols, Morales said, figures flying over the controls. "Let's hope this works." As they drew closer, the Cinder glided silently alongside the hull of the warship. The team, armed with explosive charges and weapons, prepared to disembark once more. "This is it," Alina said, her voice steady. "We need to move quickly. Target the command center and disable their core systems." The team boarded the warship, slipping through tight corridors that echoed with the sounds of alien machinery. They fought their way to the command center, where the heart of the warship pulsed with energy, casting an eerie glow on their faces. As they reached the door to the command center, Alina's breath caught in her throat. "On my mark," she whispered, heart racing. The moment they burst through the doors, a hail of Exatherian soldiers awaited them, their weapons primed and ready. The ensuing battle was fierce, the air filled with smoke. The acrid scent of burning metal stung Alina's nostrils. Her team fought valiantly, covering each other as they pressed forward, determination burning in their eyes. "Cover me," Alina shouted, darting toward the central console. She could feel the urgency of the moment, the fate of humanity resting on her shoulders. With the Exitherians closing in, she hacked into the terminal, figures flying over the interface. "I just need a moment," she yelled over the din of battle. Outside, Hale and Jax held off wave after wave of attackers, their backs against the wall. "We can't hold them off much longer," Hale shouted. "Just a little longer," Elena cried, her heart pounding as she felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. Finally, with one last keystroke, she initiated the overload sequence. "Now, everyone out," Elena yelled, sprinting toward the exit as the console sparked violently behind her. The energy in the warship surged, warning alarms blaring as they made their escape. In the final moments, the Cinder launched away from the warship, Elena barely managing to hold on to her composure as they sped through the corridor. They turned to see the warship convulse, explosions erupting as the overload took effect, tearing the vessel apart from within. The force of the explosion rocked their shuttle, sending them spiraling back into the battle. Elena gripped the controls, pulling the Cinder back into formation with the remaining ships of the Forsaken fleet. As the remnants of the Exitherian forces fled, the survivors of the battle rallied around the Elysium *. Cheers erupted over the comms as they celebrated their hard-fought victory. But amidst the elation, Elena knew that the scars of this battle would linger. They had fought bravely, but the threat was far from over. Humanity had risen to the challenge, and while they had won this fight, the war was still waiting in the shadows. Together, they would stand ready, united and resolute, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead.